A successful black CEO boarded her first-class flight and found a white passenger sitting in her assigned seat refusing to move. He claimed she couldn't possibly afford first class and must have the wrong ticket. What the captain did when he learned who she really was will restore your faith in justice. The Boeing 777 sat at the gate as passengers filed through first class toward their seats. The usual mix of business travelers and wealthy vacationers settling into premium leather chairs, while flight attendants offered pre-departure champagne. Among the boarding passengers was Dr. Simone Carter, CEO of Carter Biotech, and one of the most successful black female entrepreneurs in the medical technology industry. Her company's breakthrough diabetes treatment having made her both wealthy and influential. She walked down the first-class aisle in her tailored business suit, pulling her carry-on towards seat 2A, the window seat she'd specifically selected for the 5-hour flight to a board meeting that would determine her company's next phase of expansion. But when Simone reached row 2, she found her seat occupied by a middle-aged white man in an expensive suit, his laptop already open on the tray table, his carry-on stuffed in the overhead bin above her assigned seat. Simone checked her boarding pass again, confirming she had 2A, then addressed the man politely. "Excuse me, sir. I believe you're in my seat." "I have 2A." The man looked up with immediate irritation, his eyes sweeping over Simone with an expression that combined annoyance and dismissal. "I'm in 2A. Check your ticket again. You probably have the wrong seat." First-class passengers know where they're supposed to sit. Simone maintained her professional composure, despite the clear implication. "Sir, my boarding pass clearly shows 2A. Perhaps you're in the wrong seat." She held out her phone, showing her mobile boarding pass with seat 2A clearly marked. The man barely glanced at it. "Look, I fly first class every week. I know my seat. You must have economy and got confused. First class is up here. Coach is back there." He gestured dismissively toward the back of the plane, his tone making clear he'd decided Simone couldn't possibly belong in first class based purely on what he saw when he looked at her. A flight attendant approached, sensing the developing situation. "Is everything okay here?" Simone explained calmly. "I have seat 2A on my boarding pass, but this gentleman is sitting in it. Can you help sort this out?" The flight attendant checked both boarding passes, her face immediately showing recognition that the man was wrong. "Sir, you're actually in 2C, the aisle seat. This passenger has 2A. Can you please move to your correct seat?" The man's face reddened with anger rather than embarrassment. "This is ridiculous. I specifically booked the window seat. Check your system. There's obviously been an error." "I'm not moving." Other first-class passengers were now watching, some recording on their phones, recognizing this confrontation for what it was. A man refusing to accept that a black woman belonged in first class. His racism dressed up as confusion about seating. The flight attendant's voice remained professional but firm. "Sir, according to our system, you're assigned to 2C. This passenger paid for and is assigned to 2A. I need you to move to your correct seat so we can prepare for departure." The man crossed his arms. "I'm not moving until someone checks this properly. Get your supervisor. This woman is clearly lying about her seat assignment." The captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a slight delay. I'll be stepping into the cabin momentarily." Captain James Morrison emerged from the cockpit 2 minutes later, his presence immediately commanding attention. He'd been briefed by the lead flight attendant about the situation and recognized Simone's name from the passenger manifest. Having read that morning's business news featuring her company's latest FDA approval, he approached row 2 with authority that made the seated man finally show some uncertainty. Captain Morrison addressed Simone first. "Dr. Carter, I apologize for this delay. Let me sort this out immediately." He turned to the man. "Sir, you're in someone else's assigned seat. I'm asking you one time to move to your correct seat at 2C. If you refuse, you'll be removed from this aircraft and this airline will review whether you're welcome on future flights." The man sputtered, trying to maintain his position. "I paid for first class. I have a right to the seat I want." Morrison's response was ice cold. "You paid for seat 2C. Dr. Carter paid for 2A. She's a platinum elite member of our airline. And right now you're delaying this flight because you can't accept that a black woman belongs in first class. That's called racism, and we don't tolerate it on this aircraft." The blunt calling out of his behavior made several passengers applaud. The man finally stood, his face red with shame and anger, grabbing his belongings and moving to the aisle seat while muttering about political correctness and oversensitive people. But Captain Morrison wasn't finished. "Actually, sir, gather all your belongings. You're being removed from this flight. Your behavior toward a fellow passenger was unacceptable, and I won't have you making anyone uncomfortable for 5 hours. Security will escort you off." The man protested loudly, but security officers appeared within minutes, escorting him off the plane while other passengers openly celebrated his removal. Once the man was gone, Captain Morrison personally helped Simone store her carry-on and apologized again for the experience. "Dr. Carter, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Your company's work is incredible, by the way. My daughter has diabetes, and your technology has changed her life. Thank you for what you do." Simone was touched by the recognition and the captain's decisive action. "Thank you, Captain, for addressing it directly and not making me prove I belonged here." Morrison nodded. "You shouldn't have to prove anything. You bought a ticket. That's all the proof needed. The fact that he questioned you at all tells me everything I need to know about his character." The flight proceeded smoothly, and Simone's seatmate in 2B, an elderly white woman who'd witnessed everything, leaned over after takeoff. "I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm not sorry he got kicked off. People like that need to face consequences, or they'll never change." We chatted for a while, the woman sharing that her son was a doctor using Simone's company's technology, creating an unexpected friendly conversation that partially redeemed the awful start to the flight. The incident went viral when several passengers posted videos online. Captain Morrison's decisive response and direct naming of the racism earning widespread praise. The airline issued a statement supporting their captain's decision, and the removed passenger was permanently banned from the airline, his employer reportedly taking action after the videos spread. Simone used her platform to discuss the everyday racism successful people of color face, the constant assumption that they don't belong in spaces of privilege, the exhausting need to prove worthiness that white people never face. But she also highlighted Captain Morrison's response as the standard all institutions should follow: direct acknowledgement of racism, immediate consequences, and unwavering support for the targeted person. She met with the airline's executives and worked with them to implement training for staff about implicit bias and handling discrimination incidents. Her influence helping create policies that would protect future passengers from similar treatment. The incident that started as humiliation transformed into opportunity for systemic change because Simone refused to let it be just another story of injustice without response. Years later, when Simone spoke at business conferences, she'd tell the story of the stolen seat not as a tale of victimhood, but as an example of how allies with power, like Captain Morrison, can transform discriminatory moments into teaching opportunities with consequences. She'd note that racism doesn't disappear when you become successful. It just dresses up in different clothing, and that progress requires people in authority positions choosing to see it, name it, and act against it, rather than pretending colorblindness means ignoring discrimination when it happens right in front of them.